Welcome to our deep dive, and this one's going to be perfect for anyone thinking about starting a business. We're going deep into a sermon by Pastor Sam Adeyemi called Starting a Business. Now, I know a sermon might not be the first place you think of for business advice, but stick with me.
It's true. You might be surprised what you find in unexpected places.
I was surprised, that's for sure. Pastor Adeyemi shares some really insightful principles and stories.
He really does. He's got this great way of connecting those universal principles of success to everyday life,
Yeah, he does. He uses stories from the Bible and modern examples. Right from the start, he talks about the importance of intangible resources. He actually says that things like revelation and prophetic insight can be more valuable than cash.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, I get it, but it's kind of a hard concept to grasp, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. It's definitely a different way of thinking about things.
So how do you see that playing out in the real world for someone actually trying to start a business?
Well, he uses this story about the prophet Elijah and the widow's oil.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
So the widow's in a really tough spot. She's got almost nothing left, just a small jar of oil. But then, through prophetic guidance, that oil becomes her business capital.
Wow, so it's like that small thing she had became something way bigger.
Exactly. It's a metaphor for the potential we all have when we look beyond just the material stuff.
Okay, I'm starting to see it now.
It's about mindset, seeing opportunities where other people just see limitations.
That actually ties in perfectly with something else Pastor Adeyemi said. He predicts that individuals will become wealthier than state and local governments.
He did say that, didn't he?
He even challenges us to imagine a future where our businesses could be bigger than the economies of some countries in Africa.
It's a bold prediction, for sure.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it points to the shifts we're seeing away from traditional government-run economies. It's not that government's not important, but there's this growing entrepreneurial economy happening at the same time.
Driven by individuals.
Right. Individuals with the power to create wealth and make a difference.
He uses the story of Jacob and Laban to illustrate this. Laban realizes that Jacob has this unique ability to create success.
Almost like he's got a Midas touch.
It makes me think of companies like Apple or Amazon,
Built by individuals who had an idea and the drive to make it happen.
And their success has had a huge impact on the economy.
Definitely. It shows the power of individual initiative.
And it's not just about starting a business. He talks about having an entrepreneurial mindset even if you're not launching your own company. He uses the example of Joseph in prison. Even in that tough situation, Joseph's leadership skills shine through.
And he ends up running the prison.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He saw a problem and found a solution.
That's a key part of this mindset, taking ownership and leading no matter what your circumstances are.
Another thing that stuck with me was when he talked about how club owners often make more money than the athletes themselves.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
He's saying the athletes have the talent, but the owners understand how to build a system around that talent.
It's about creating those systems for production, distribution, consumption.
And that's what allows the talent to really flourish.
It's like building a framework that helps everything run smoothly.
He also said something that might be a little controversial. He said, "The rich rule over the poor."
I remember that.
It might sound harsh, but I think he's making a point about the influence that comes with wealth.
Especially in politics.
Right. It makes you think about how wealth can shape decisions, not just in business, but in society as a whole.
It's a complex issue, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's something to keep in mind as you build your business. Thinking about how to use your influence responsibly.
Okay. So we've talked about mindset, opportunity, and even some of the potential downsides of wealth. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do we actually start a business?
Well, he starts by addressing something we all face.
Fear.
Yeah. Fear can be paralyzing.
He acknowledges that, but he encourages us to see it as a natural part of the process.
Not a sign that we're not cut out for it.
Right. It's about shifting your perspective.
He shares this great story about a woman from his church who left her job at a bank to start a clothing line.
And she was successful, really successful. And what's interesting is she didn't invent a whole new product.
She just improved on existing clothing lines, focused on quality and branding.
Exactly. It's a great example of how you don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
Sometimes it's about taking something that's already there and making it better.
He talks about simplifying our approach to business, identifying basic needs.
It sounds so simple.
Right? It does. But I think sometimes we overcomplicate things.
Absolutely. We get lost in all these fancy plans and strategies.
When really it's about solving a problem or meeting a need.
Exactly. What are people struggling with? What do they need?
He challenges us to think about our own needs and the needs of our community.
And he reminds us that even the simplest needs can create amazing business opportunities.
You know, he even uses this funny example of wanting to eat fresh corn in a more comfortable setting.
As a business idea?
I know, it's kind of random. But it shows how everyday experiences can spark those entrepreneurial ideas.
It's about paying attention to the little things, the inconveniences, the things that could be better.
Because those are often the seeds of great businesses.
Exactly. You know, it's like training your brain to spot those opportunities.
Yeah, like instead of just complaining about a problem.
You start thinking, how could I solve this?
Exactly. And he even applies that kind of entrepreneurial thinking to his ministry.
Oh, that's interesting.
He talks about how churches need to constantly innovate and stay ahead of the curve.
So it's not just about business.
No, it's about applying those same principles to any area of life.
I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And of course, he gets into the practical stuff too, like how to actually start a business.
Like step by step.
Yeah. He says it's crucial to research and evaluate your ideas.
Don't just jump in blindly.
Right. And he talks about calculating costs realistically.
Which is so important.
I know. It's easy to get caught up in those overly optimistic projections.
And then end up in trouble later.
He's also a big believer in having a business plan.
Even if it's a simple one.
He even mentions that he offers seminars on how to write a business plan.
So he's really trying to give people the tools they need.
He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk.
That's great.
Then he talks about finding different sources of financing.
Like not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Explore all your options. Savings, loans, investments.
Even leveraging assets.
It's about being resourceful.
And responsible.
And he reminds us to take care of all the legal stuff.
The paperwork. The registrations.
It's easy to overlook those things.
But they're important for protecting yourself and your business.
Then he gets into marketing.
You get the word out.
He talks about advertising creatively and making sure your target audience knows about your product.
Reaching the right people with the right message.
And after all that preparation, he gives this powerful call to action. Just start.
Take the leap.
I know. It can be scary.
He gets that.
Yeah.
But he also reminds us that we'll never know our true potential if we don't try.
I love that. He actually says he has more respect for someone who tries and fails than someone who never tries at all.
That's a powerful statement.
It really is. It shows that he values action and learning from experience.
He normalizes failure.
Sees it as a part of the journey.
He even uses the example of Elijah praying for rain.
7 times before it finally came.
Talk about persistence.
It's a great reminder to keep going even when you face setbacks.
He ties that idea of perseverance to the spiritual concept of faith.
So it's not just about grit and determination.
It's also about believing in something bigger than yourself.
Trusting that things will work out in the end.
Even when you can't see the whole picture.
He emphasizes that nobody rewards planning. They reward action.
So true.
It's about putting those plans into motion.
Making things happen.
But he's also realistic about the challenges of starting a business.
It's not all sunshine and roses.
He acknowledges that there will be obstacles.
And he encourages us to embrace failure as a learning experience.
Not let it define us.
It's about seeing setbacks as opportunities for growth.
To get better. To refine our approach.
And he talks about the importance of having strong financial management systems.
Especially when it comes to loans.
Be smart with your money.
He's a big advocate for saving and building financial credibility.
It's about creating a solid foundation for your business.
And he stresses the importance of integrity in all your dealings.
Whether it's with suppliers, friends, or family.
He even says, keep your promises. It's as good as cash.
I love that.
It's about building trust and respect.
Which are essential for long-term success.
He compares starting a business to the Israelites entering the Promised Land.
Wow. That's a powerful analogy.
It's about taking ownership, being productive, creating a legacy.
It's about stepping into a new level of abundance.
And he has this really interesting idea about education.
What's that?
He suggests that people who haven't been corrupted by traditional education might actually be better equipped to start businesses.
Corrupted. What do you mean by that?
I think he's saying that formal education can sometimes limit our thinking.
Makes us too rigid.
Exactly. And he thinks that people who haven't been through that system might be more open to seeing new possibilities.
Because they're not stuck in a certain way of doing things.
Yeah. He encourages us to look at existing products and services and find ways to improve them.
Like that woman who started the clothing line
She didn't invent something total new, she just elevated an existing product.
and found incredible success.
It's a great reminder that innovation doesn't always have to be about creating something from scratch.
Sometimes it's about making something that already exists even better.
And he brings it all back to those key principles we talked about earlier.
Understanding your target audience, having a solid business plan, exploring different financing options,
And of course, taking action.
overcoming procrastination, and just starting.
He acknowledges that it takes courage,
To step out of your comfort zone and pursue your dreams.
but he encourages us to push through those fears and doubts.
Because the rewards are worth it.
He reminds us that we'll never know our true potential unless we try.
And that even failure can be a valuable learning experience.
It's all part of the journey.
And he uses that powerful example of Elijah praying for rain 7 times.
To illustrate the importance of persistence.
Never giving up on your vision.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying faith and perseverance go hand in hand.
You really do. And then he brings in this powerful message from Deuteronomy 28 about blessings overtaking those who obey their calling.
Oh, I like that.
He wants us to see our businesses as forces for good, you know?
Making a real impact.
Exactly. And it's not just about making money for ourselves.
Right? It's about building something bigger.
He talks about shifting from a basket mentality to a storehouse mentality.
I'd never heard it put that way before. What does he mean by that?
It's about moving beyond just accumulating wealth for yourself.
Focusing on something else.
It's about how many people you employ, the systems you build, the impact you have on your community.
So it's about the ripple effect.
Yeah, it's about creating something that benefits everyone.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then he says something really bold.
What's that?
He says that no policy, no law, no official, and no spiritual force can stop us from fulfilling God's agenda for our lives.
Wow. That's a powerful statement.
It really is. It's like he's saying nothing can hold us back.
If we're aligned with our purpose.
Exactly. And he uses the example of Jesus.
Even Jesus faced challenge
But he ultimately triumphed.
because he was focused on something greater than himself.
Right. His definition of success was different.
It wasn't about money or power.
It was about fulfilling his purpose
So we need to find our purpose.
and align our actions with it.
And that's where true success lies.
He encourages us to declare our freedom from limitations,
To embrace the power of blessing.
to step into a new level of prosperity,
It's about letting go of those old beliefs that hold us back.
and stepping into the fullness of who we were created to be.
I love that.
He even uses this funny analogy to describe people who are stuck in fear and inaction.
What's that?
He compares them to a lizard that fell from a tree,
A lizard.
and the lizard congratulates itself for surviving the fall.
So it's like celebrating mediocrity.
Yeah, settling for less than what we're capable of.
We need to aim higher.
Take risks, embrace both success and failure as part of the journey.
It's all about growth.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. Remember those intangible resources? We talked about faith, vision, perseverance.
They're more valuable than you think.
Believe in your ability to create wealth, make a difference, build something amazing.
Start small. Learn from your mistakes. Keep pushing forward.
And never forget that true success is about more than just the bottom line.
It's about the impact you have on the world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.